Hey everybody, this is Sarah and I am here with a very special guest. This is my sister of 20 years, Tamra. Give it up for Tamra. She did not have a clue that I was going to throw her in this video today. So she is awesome and she's just going with it. So yes. Today I really felt like we needed to talk about godly friendships and maybe not even godly friendships. I don't even know if maybe we'll go there, but today let's just talk about friendships in general and let's just talk about divine connections. So I'm gonna sit back in the chair and we're gonna just talk about this. So welcome to our conversation. You're the perfect person to talk about this with because we've been friends for so long where, a lot of people, they can't keep friendships for that long, right? And so, I don't know, let's start with what makes a good friend?
Someone that you can rely on, that's there through the good and the bad times.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I feel like one thing I really love about friends is and one thing I really admire about you is that we can go to a party, for example, and we could break up. You go over here, you're talking to 5 people, I go over here, I'm talking to 5 people, and at the end of the night, it's like, hey, so how'd it go? How are you? And there's no you have to please me, you have to talk to me, you have to be with me. We're just chill like that. We don't have these really high expectations of each other, What do you think?
No, I think that's true. And then also we know if we miss a call or we don't call for a while that, we still care and then we just reconnect. There's no hard feelings. It isn't, she didn't call me or I didn't call her. We just, one of us is like, oh my gosh, I miss her so much and I need to give her a call.
Yeah, and there's been times in the 20 years that maybe we went a whole year without talking. But then, because life just got busy, it was just that season of life,
Right.
But then when we see each other, it's like we didn't miss a day.
Right.
Right? There's no expectation. Yes, relationships are 2 ways. Yes, in friendships, it's a give and take, right? Because it's not a good friendship if you're just the one always calling and always texting and always, But I think that there should be grace for the season of life that you're in, there were times when our babies were young, or there were things that we were going through, when you first started dating Shane, that new fun relationship where you want to be with that person all the time, and that's normal, right? So I'm not going to be upset with you for not, meeting my expectation, right?
Or the times where I know you're inviting me to go to church and I don't go, and then you invite me the next week and I don't go, and I tell you not to give up on me and you don't, but you still love me.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't, follow through on going, but, you kept asking, so then I eventually came.
So don't give up, right?
No, you didn't give up on me, and I think good friends don't give up on each other.
I think when we were doing the ladies group here at my home with all the ladies, that was one thing I did was I would invite some of the ladies probably 20 times. I didn't give up inviting them. And maybe they didn't come at first. It took them a long time. But when they finally made it, then it was I don't know, I just didn't give up on pursuing people. There was, but I, what you said, but there's grace in that, recently you told me that you might not make it Wednesday. And, was I upset or disappointed? No, not at all. Because I thought it's got to be what that person wants. They know their life. I can't have an expectation for somebody when, God is doing something else. You don't know what God is doing, you know? And if they feel like they're not supposed to be there, then I'm going to have grace on them,
I think I was more disappointed that I couldn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed.
And then it just happened that it changed and I get to go and do both, so.
Yeah, because you're like, well, I might be able to come. And I'm like, listen, no pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure. If you can, awesome. We'd love to have you. God has something special for you. If not, come when you can, you know,
Mhm.
and hey, bring somebody with you, you know, bring your daughter, bring somebody with you, you know. But I think having grace on each other is big.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What else is like a quality, like what is something that, you know, I used to be really like desperate for friends. I think the reason why I felt like we needed to talk about this today was Sophia went to church the other day, and there was a girl that was, actually it wasn't our church, it was another church. But there was a girl that used to be her friend, and she saw her, and the friend was really mean to her and really hurt her. And the whole time, Sophia had been complimenting her and saying, you like, you know, and truly meaning it. She wasn't just saying it to flatter her, you know, but she was like, I love your haircut, and your shirt's so cute, and just kind of loving on this girl. And this girl was really mean to her and hurt her. So she got in the car, and she was crying, and she was like, Mom, I don't understand. Like, why does she not like me? You know, and I was like, Sophia, she is missing out. Like, you shouldn't even shed a tear. You don't want friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
As if she doesn't know who you are. She doesn't know what an amazing friend she's missing out on. You know, and so that I think that really got me thinking about, let's talk about friendships and what are friendships we're willing to fight for, and what are friendships we should let go of.
Mhm.
You know.
I think she treated her as the type of friend that she wants to be treated as. So that's more important than that girl not treating her the same way. She knows that she's still genuine and a good friend. So then you learn from relationships with people, and maybe she was just having a bad day, or maybe she's just not a good friend.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Mhm.
true. I used to be so desperate for friends that I was friends with people who weren't good friends to me.
Yeah.
People who were very selfish, people who would put me down, people who would say, oh, I know what you're thinking, or I know how you would handle it, and they're totally off.
Right.
Like that, no, that's not how I would handle it, or, you know, and I was just so, like, especially when I was a teenager, I was really desperate to fit in, and so I was friends with people who were not good friends to me. And it wasn't until I really started following the Lord that I started understanding that about myself and realizing, you know what, I'm going to cut ties with those friendships because they're not building me up, you know. And that became really important to me, to only have people in my life who built me up. And that's why you've been a friend for 20 years, because we've always built each other up.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I went through a season where I lost a lot of my other friends because the Lord he was really teaching me identity at the time and showing me that it was better to be lonely than to surround yourself with people who are negative.
Right. I think it's better to have quality than quantity
Yeah,
in friends.
so true.
So, when you're a giver, you want people to like you, but you have to learn that not everyone's going to like you. Sometimes they might envy you, or think that you have more than they do, so they're not worthy of your friendship, and then they become more bitter about it. But in reality, it's just see me for who I am, not what I have or what I do. They should know by your character, that you're a good person. But sometimes people don't look beyond the surface of things.
Yeah. And we're willing to compromise because we think that's all there is? Or what makes us compromise? Like, what do you think it is?
I think it probably has to do with not wanting to be alone, because I could think of a friend that I used to hang out with a lot, and they knew, important people, but they liked to drink a lot, and that wasn't me. But so I wasn't home by myself. I thought that was a good friendship, but in reality, it was because they didn't want to be alone that they invited me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that, they were a good friend and they invited me because they wanted, me as a friend to be there. It was because they didn't want to be alone. But I was going because I was like, oh, I have this friend. But then I think it's important that you hang out with like-minded people too, because then you're not going to have a good time anyway, or you're going to be put in a situation that you didn't want to be put in by choosing to be with somebody who isn't a good friend.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And what does that do when we allow these bad influences in our lives? Like even though we're not like that, but when we start to spend a lot of time around those people, we even as adults can be influenced.
Yeah, you start to neglect important things or responsibilities. You know, it's kind of a rebellion, I think. So you don't think of the consequences at the time, you know, of who you're neglecting. Maybe you're neglecting your kids or your spouse, you know, or someone that...
That's a good point.
Yeah,
because sometimes there are friendships. I had a friendship that, looking back, I see now that it was unhealthy, but at the time I didn't realize. But they wanted so much of my attention. And if I didn't give them that amount of attention, they would actually threaten to not be my friend anymore. They would do it as a joke, but I realized they were actually serious.
Right.
And at one point I had to say, I'm sorry that... Hold on. Okay, so we're back. We're talking about friendships that require you to give them a lot of attention, a lot of your attention, and there are seasons that it's hard to do that sometimes, and your family should always be your first ministry. And so, yeah, I think that's important too, for friends to recognize your family as your first ministry, you know? Like, even when you told me you're going with Miranda, I was like, or just hit my funny bone. Who? I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, you know, like, I always see that when someone's going with a child or something, you know, like, okay, that's what you should be doing. You do that. You know, like, our family, our children should always be our first ministry.
Right. Or there's the friends that are jealous of you having other friends.
Ooh, let's go into that. Yeah.
Well, because I'm your longest time friend here. So, you know, even like, you know, with women's group or whatever, I would just sit back and just watch the dynamics or whatever, but I always just had a little giggle and, you know, my mind of, well, you know, I'm the first friend.
That's right. That's right.
But, you know, but I didn't get jealous of, you know, you building new friendships. It's good to have that and fellowship. That's really what it's about. It's not about, this is my best friend. Like, I don't call you my best friend. I call you my best Sarah because I don't have a best friend, because I don't think you should have one best friend.
Yeah. I think that's so good what you're saying. Like, I wanted to make sure that we touched on this subject. I'm so glad, like, you're pointing this out, because you, first of all, you knew your identity. You weren't threatened by other women because you knew that nobody else could be the first friend, right?
Right.
And I think that's how I see my friends, is I see my friends not as my best friends, because that would imply that one is better than the other. And I feel like I am able to see the beauty and the giftings in each friend of mine, and not one could replace the other, you know? And so I am a kind of person that I have a lot of friends, because I love people, and I can see the gold in them, and I'm not threatened by my friends having other friends, because I know that I'm their Sarah, you know? And we each have our own character and our own role and our own giftings, and not one can replace the other.
Right. And friend doesn't mean I talk to you every day or I spend every moment with you. A friend is someone that you care about. You know, you could meet somebody brand new and they become your friend instantly. But it isn't that you spend every waking moment with them or whatever. There's, you know, you still have a friend in someone that I think, you know, even if it's for a season or whatever. But it just, what you were saying reminded me of how God sees us. That, you know, I'm not his best Tamara, you know, or only daughter. He loves us all equally, and I think that's how we should be with our friends too, you know, and want them to love on other people too. So, you know, it's not one's better than the other. Like, God doesn't see us better, you know, you're a better Christian than I am. He just sees us as his children. So
I heard it said before. One woman was having a conversation with God. It was Lisa Bevere, and she was saying, like, God, how can you love us all the same? Like, that implies that we're replaceable, you know? And she said she heard God so clearly, and he said, I don't love you the same. I love you uniquely.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love that because
Yeah.
it's like, I love that I'm unique to God.
Right,
You
and our
know?
friends are unique to
Yeah.
us because we aren't all the same. But like I said, if you just have the one favorite, what if you put all of your trust in that one person and they let you down?
Which people do.
Yeah, so you can't,
I think everybody will let you down because
Right.
we're human.
right,
At one point, they're all going to let you down at some situation or
Mhm.
circumstance. You thought they should have handled it this way and they didn't, right? And I think we have, again, it goes back to that grace thing because we're going to let I'm going to let you down. Not purposely, that's not my
Yeah.
heart, but that's just because I'm human.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I just want friends that are imperfect. That way, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to measure up to anything. Just be perfect in your imperfections and just love everyone for who they are. That's right. But
and you know what it takes away too? If you need to get your phone, we can hit pause. Do you need to get it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll call back if it's important.
Taking away, when you know your place, it takes away jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't struggle with jealousy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not something I struggle with.
No,
And when it does come, I just, the enemy tries,
Right.
but it's not something I open the door to.
Right.
Because I'm like, no, there is jealousy is like where there's not enough to go around is the mindset, right? She's taking what's meant for me.
Right.
And if you understand that God is a God of abundance, there's plenty of everything to go around.
Right.
Plenty of resources.
And I think a good friend wants you to have much and be happy, and they shouldn't want you not to prosper.
Yeah.
That's why we want to build each other up instead of tear each other down, because you should be happy with them in their happy times and console them in their sad times, and you hurt for each other too. It's the same difference.
Yeah.
But to be jealous, then that's all about you. That's your ego,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not about your friend anymore. It's about you.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
What else do we need to cover about friendships or relationships? I don't know. We were talking about it earlier, but there are some friendships that are for a season. And actually, I'm so grateful for all the friendships I've had in my life, even the ones that were no longer friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm so grateful for that. They taught me so much, and they were a friend to me in the season that I needed them.
Mm-hmm.
But even if I saw them now, I would be so happy to see them, and I would want blessings over them,
Right.
But they were just a season in my life. And, some come for one season, some come for a few seasons, very few come for the whole journey. Let's talk about that.
I was just thinking about sometimes you have people in your life that you think were just for the season, but for some reason they're still hanging on. So I do have one friend that they contact me all the time and want to get together, but it never ever works out. And then the next week, but it's a give and take though too, because you can't have it just your way. You're one-sided, where you want to control it. So I think even in relationships, you can't control and keep everything in a neat little box or what's convenient for you. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable or inconvenienced to actually care about somebody.
Wow, that's good. That's true. Yeah, like it's give and take.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just show up to receive. I have friends where I haven't talked to in a long time. Some I haven't talked to since before the pandemic. And they're still my friends. If I see them, I would love on them.
Yeah.
But they haven't really reached out to me, and I haven't reached out to them. And it's not that we don't love each other. My love for them is not based on whether they call me,
Right.
But, again, that's when they're not making the effort, I am going to make the effort with people who are making the effort.
Right. Well,
you
it's
know?
kind of like with family too. You know, you can talk to somebody every day, or you can talk to somebody every so often, or just on a holiday. You know, it doesn't mean you love them any less. It's almost like you have this non-spoken agreement that, you know, I love you, but I'm distanced away from you, but it doesn't mean that I don't love you.
Right.
So, and you're just fine with that. But
Yeah.
it, like, you know, even like when we haven't talked for a while, it doesn't even seem like it's that long with family too.
Yeah.
You know, but I do think it's important to make sure that you do, you know, reach out to the people that are important to you, because
Yeah,
you never
That's
know.
true. That's true.
You never know.
If
So,
they haven't responded to you in a while, and I do that. If the Lord puts someone on my
Yeah.
heart, I will randomly, even though I haven't heard from them in a while, I will randomly say, hey, you're on my heart. I'm praying for you. How are you?
right.
You know, and I really do. I'm really blessing them. I'm really, you know, but yeah, sometimes the Lord will put someone on my heart that I haven't talked to in a while, you know.
And I think it's important to, I don't know why I was thinking about this when you were talking, but not wavering who you are for someone to like you. And we kind of said that a little bit earlier, but the best kind of friend is somebody that accepts you for who you are.
So true.
So you can come to their house and they tell you you're going to be on a video and you don't have any makeup on or anything, and you went on a hike, and so I probably stink too. It's a good thing it's not smell-o-vision. But, oh, now my alarm's going off.
Where is it at? I'll bring it to you.
So, but you know, just, it's fine, you know, I didn't have to put makeup on to come over here
You
for
just
you to
accept
like
it. That's
me.
just how I am.
Yeah,
And,
so,
and it's funny because I was thinking, well, if you didn't care to put makeup on for me, then who cares what other people think? Because all that matters is what I think.
but you know what I'm saying? I mean, the best kind of friendships, like, you don't even have to agree on the same things. You don't even have to have the same lifestyle, you know, like the person I went hiking with, we are total opposites, but just the company and conversation.
The divine connection, too.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you know, it's just like when you're trying to impress somebody that you're dating or whatever, so you want to think of important, funny, you know, smart things to say. I like it better when it's just, you know.
You can just be you.
Yeah.
You can just show up and not have to perform.
Yeah, and just talk, and then it just comes so easily, and just random conversations, but you're still communicating, you know.
Yeah.
And you're not over talking, or there isn't awkward silence. It's just crazy, you know, just a good connection. And I think those end up being, you know, really genuine friends, where you don't have to worry, you know, about anything. You're like, you know, your parents come who you are, you know, kind of like going to church. Shouldn't have to worry about those things, because that's not the purpose of it.
Yeah.
The purpose is to fellowship and, you know, worship God and, you know, share God with each other. So when you have a friendship, what's that purpose? You know, it's also to fellowship, and, you know, it's best if you, or more fun when you can share God with each other too. But I mean, in reality, we should share God with everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's fun when you can be encouraged in your faith.
right. And,
Like when we get together and we share God's stories, it's so encouraging.
right.
But other people need that, like you were saying. So
Yeah, and they don't
sometimes-
even know. You
Yeah.
know, you just kind of slip it in the
Oh, yeah.
conversation. I do that a lot. You know, I was talking to the neighbors on the way out. I haven't seen them in a while, and I'm like, you know, just telling them about life a little bit. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to worship practice, you know, and they're like, oh, what church do you go to? And, you know, it's just, this guy lives in Mexico, so it's not, you know, anything, but we had a brief conversation about God,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
it was just cool. But, you know, just because that's my identity too, so I want to just, you know, I love that I love the Lord, and I want everybody to know that I love the Lord.
Yeah. It's a fun thing to share. It's
It
exciting.
is. Well, because that's why I am happy in who I am.
Yeah.
So, you know, joy's found there.
Yeah. So true. I felt like we were talking about divine connections, and I thought, you know, I wanted to make sure we talked more about divine connections. And it is interesting how sometimes when someone leaves our path, right, our journey, God usually brings somebody new. Have you ever noticed that?
Mhm.
And it's there for that exact season that you need them for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that's like this friend that I'm hiking with, because I never would have thought that I would have a friend like that. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm like the oddest person that you would want to be a friend with because we're so like almost polar opposites, but we both just are who we are, and we just have a good time talking to each other. So I think that also means, it's a good example that you don't judge a book by their cover, or you should look past the surface in people too.
Oh, that's good.
And then sometimes, like even with this person, they have hurts that you don't know about, and then maybe they didn't have someone in their life that they could share that with, but you're that person.
Yeah.
So then, you're helping someone that you didn't even know you were going to have, the opportunity to help, or that they would be willing to be vulnerable and talk to you about it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But that's being a good friend to a new person, you know? So it's like, friend doesn't mean years of knowing each other.
Right.
A friend could be somebody that you met today.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you see it in people, I want to be their friend,
Yeah.
Kind
of makes me think of love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a friend, right? Is somebody who takes the time to love the people around them.
Right.
Right? Just even when you're together, that, I always, like we were talking about earlier, like I don't have any best friends, but I always think like my best friend is the person I'm with in the moment, because that's who I'm focused on.
Yeah.
And that's who matters, and I want to be present with,
I think it's kind of opposite though. You're being the best friend to them.
True.
Because
True.
you are being the best you to, in the time you're spending with them, your intention and your time, and, so really you're the best friend right then.
That's awesome. I never thought of it like that. That's really cool. So you be the best friend. You are the best friend if you're present with them.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. All right, well, we are going to wrap up this video. I hope this encouraged somebody out there, and I hope that this helped someone out there to have a better understanding of good friendships that are worth fighting for, friendships that are worth holding on to, and the discernment to know the ones to let go of. And how else should we end it?
Just a hug.
Okay.
Aw.
Bye, everybody.